Welcome to the Gyms Podcast. I'm your host, Joel Kleber, and this podcast is designed to share stories of our franchisees, franchisors, Jim himself, and other members of the Gyms family that we think you might find interesting. If you are researching our brand, we've got a previous back catalogue. There's so many great episodes that you can find online. And if you do like what you hear, please make sure you leave us a thumbs up on YouTube if you're watching, or online as well. We really do appreciate the support. Without further ado, here's today's episode. So Shaun, thank you for joining us today. And you're from Gym Scratch and Dent, which is one of our newer divisions, and you're down in, are you in Hobart, you're based out of?
Yes, yeah, that's it.
No worries. And what were you doing prior to Gym Scratch and Dent?
Well, I've been a spray painter for the last nearly 17 years. Yeah, it's time for a change and work for myself. So,
And how did you come across the opportunity?
through Facebook, funnily enough. I'd actually had a look at another franchise previously, not a Gym's, another like scratch and dent type thing, and I didn't really like their model basically, and so I put that on the back burner for a little while, and then this sort of popped up on the radar, and next thing you know, we're 4 months down the road.
And what did you like about the Gym's model?
The Gym's branding was the biggest one. Like everybody knows the Gym's brand, and basically getting into everything, and it's a very trusted brand. So that was very appealing to me.
Did you come to the training in Melbourne?
Yes.
How'd you find that whole experience?
No, it was really, really good. Like the whole facility, the training, like everybody's talk was very informative, and it was good.
So you've got a perfect star rating in the system, so well done on that. You've got no complaints or anything, which is great. So with the perfect star rating, what are you doing from a customer service point of view that you think gives you that perfect rating from customers?
Well, I have had a bit of customer service type experience sort of in the past. Like I've previously, up until starting with gyms, I was working casually with a funeral home as well. So essentially you're seeing people at their worst there when they don't really even want to see you. Whereas opposed to now, I'm actually seeing people that are appreciative of the phone calls and appreciative of the service. And so that's probably a big thing there. So
it's a tough gig being involved. Like I've got a cousin who's a funeral director, so I sort of know a little bit about it. He was one for 12 years and moved into real estate now. But saying a similar thing to you. But you got to be very, very professional in that line of work. You got to be extremely professional, and people who work in that field are really, really, really professional and good at what they do.
Yes, yeah, no, they're very, very good people at what they do, and no, I take my hat off to them. They do a good job every day. So,
now, regards to customer service, what to you is then good customer service? Like maybe do you want to just lay out for you, for example, you get a lead. What are you doing at that lead?
Generally, depending on what I'm doing at the time. Generally, I'm probably giving the customer a call within half an hour. Sometimes that's not possible. Like I might be in the middle of painting a job. Well, I can't just down tools and jump on the phone for a little bit. So maybe sometimes it's an hour. Then I go through what they need, and they generally send through some photos, and we go from there.
And how's the transition for you been from being in employment for so long to running your own business? How have you found that transition?
Pretty good, really. I won't lie. There's been some busy, stressful days, but all in all, pretty really good. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. So,
and are you happy with the income you're making as well?
Oh, very much so. Yeah, a lot better than what I was working in a panel shop. So,
now, what about your lifestyle? Do you have a family or anything, or how do you work?
Nearly 2-year-old daughter. So, at the moment, things have been pretty good, but I'm trying to sort of back off a little bit with the work. But it gives me the flexibility to sort of like go and do things with her in the middle of the day, or have a day off here and there, and you don't have to ask anybody. So the flexibility side of things is great.
And what about the level of work? Have you been happy with that level?
Yeah, totally. It's blown my mind, really. I wasn't expecting to be anywhere near as busy as I have been. I was expecting sort of on average to be sort of a week to 2 weeks booked out when I started. I'm currently 7 weeks booked out, and it's been like that for probably the last 6-8 weeks. So we tried to back off the advertising and get it down. a little bit, but it seems to just keep creeping back to that. So
Good problem.
yeah, it's not a bad problem to have.
And how's the support been like from because obviously you're the only franchisee in that division in gyms down. There's obviously a lot of gyms in Tasmania, but how's the support been from Jason?
Yeah, no, really good, really good. Yeah, Jason's been fantastic, touching base with us every week and getting a feel for how things are going, especially being new to doing mobile repairs and running a business and everything. But no, he's been fantastic.
So were you in a panel shop for 17 years, or you've been in panel shop for 17 years?
Yes. So I've been in panel shops for almost 17 years, and as well as I was working casually with the funeral home. So yeah, so basically prior to gyms, I was working essentially 2 to 3 jobs, and since starting gyms, I've backed all that off, and I'm purely only working for myself. So
how do you enjoy the freedom on the road?
Yeah, it's excellent getting out, meeting new people and talking to new people. There's some really great people that I've done work for, so that's been cool.
And how many jobs do you roughly do a day, or can you do a day?
Generally, depending on size of the job, anywhere between 1 and 2.
And what type of, like, is it just? We'll talk about the services a bit more for the division. So it's obviously in the name, really, scratch and dent. You have a scratch in your car or a dent in your car, and this saves you a lot of time rather than going to a panel shop and getting all that sort of stuff. So, what sort of type of jobs are you coming across, or what's the common sort of thing you're doing at the moment?
Sort of your small to medium dents, panel dents, probably the majority. Your bumper bar scuff, like a bumper bar scuff into a guard or something like that. Your general shopping trolley dings and dents and all of that sort of stuff. So pretty well generally everything. Anything that you take your car to a body shop for, apart from like big structural stuff, I've pretty much done in the last 4 months. So
are people surprised about this service in regards to they might have used it for the first time and go, geez, I didn't know that this was around, or I should have done this a while, because taking to a panel shop and having it in a loan car and stuff, it can be quite burdensome on people compared to this, where I know what you guys do. I've been out with one of the franchisees before. It's such a no-brainer for a customer. I don't know why, if you guys should be everywhere, I reckon, around.
Oh yeah, that's right. They're like, yeah, you take your car to a panel shop, you're going to be without it for at least probably a week in most cases. And that's just even for a small repair, whereas it's something that I can do in a day, or any of the other guys around Australia can do in a day. And it is like you say, it is a no-brainer. So
with cost as well, like, you don't have to say anything about pricing or anything, but like, just from a comparison point of view, is it comparative to taking it into a panel shop, or what's the sort of the range?
I'd say we're quite a lot cheaper than your average panel shop repair.
Wow.
And like essentially we're generally around, depending on the size of the repair, probably we come under insurance excesses and things like that. So it works out far cheaper for the customer if they want to go that way. If they're going to have to pay multiple excesses because they've got damage right around their vehicle, which is, in my experience, is very, very common. Like, somebody will call up and go, oh, I've got damage here, there, and on the front of my car, on the back of my car, and they want to get it all fixed. Whereas you take it to a panel shop, that's multiple claims on your insurance if you're going that way. So that's where we come in. You don't have to, we're well under the price of the panel shops.
And that's a good point, because you said, I don't think people might realise, but yeah, there might have an incident back one time, an incident at the front, and something at the side. There could be all 3 different occurrences, but it's not the one incident. So the insurance company is going to make you pay.
Yeah, make you pay 3 times.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people realise that, but it's a really good point. And with you guys, I can just do it for a lot cheaper and get everything done at once.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, is there any type of things that you guys can't do? As you said, you alluded to it before, the main structural damage. So there's like a really serious smash, I guess. Obviously, like, things need to be really replaced. I guess that's the thing. But everything else you can pretty much do.
Yeah, well, basically, in our vans, we carry everything that your average paint shop would carry. Like, so you go into a Bodyworks and we've got pretty much what they have, apart from we're mobile. The only things we don't have, like your oxy sets for heating things up, your MIG welders for welding and that sort of stuff. But we have dent pullers and all that sort of like little It's like small to medium repairs.
Now, what's the potential of this division that you can see? Because I think at the moment there's only 3 or 4. I think there's one in Victoria, one in New South Wales, and you're in Tasmania. I don't know if there's anyone else yet in the other states. So for me, it just sounds like there's such a good no-brainer. If you're working in a panel shop for so long, just to sort of just come out into this like you have, it's just it make better money straight away, pretty much.
Exactly. I can see it like booming. Like I think we're now up to 6 or 7 of us. So I think there's a couple in New South Wales.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's Gold Coast and another one in Brisbane, and one in Melbourne. So yeah, it's taking off, and I can see it's going to grow quite rapidly as well, which is a good thing. More vans out on the road and saving people some money, and yeah.
And what about in your area? How many do you reckon more in Tassie do you reckon you guys would need to keep up the demand?
Well, I'm not sure what Jason's doing with the advertising at the moment. At the moment, I've got my leads turned fairly right down to I'm only receiving sort of 2 a day. As far as what he's done with the advertising, I've been meaning to talk to him about that, because if their advertising is not running at full capacity, then yeah, we could quite comfortably handle a few guys in Hobart.
And what would you sort of say to someone maybe looking at doing it in Hobart, who's maybe was in your position? What sort of thing or words of encouragement? Yeah,
I'd 100% say go for it. I was sitting on the fence for a little while with this other franchise that I was looking at, and it's like, yeah, I don't know about that. But as soon as the gyms one come along, then I had a bit of a chat with Jason, and he sent me some information, and it's like, yeah, this is something that I'm pretty serious about. And I went off and spoke to my accountant, and he's like, look, it's really a no-brainer. He goes, it's someone like yourself who's quite happy talking away with people, and then you've got the experience of being able to do all this sort of stuff, and it's a low cost to get into it. Why not? It's worth a crack. You're not going to go bankrupt. So that's a good point. Right.
And then, have you always lived in Hobart or down in Tasmania?
Yeah. Oh no, well, I lived in Melbourne for about 12 months, but Melbourne lifestyle wasn't for me. So come back to Tassie.
And what do you like about Hobart so much?
That's like being right by the water. Everything about it. It's a lot more laid back. It's a lot more friendly. Yeah.
And there's a lot of people actually moving down to Hobart from Melbourne and from other places around Australia because of the it's pretty affordable and it's got a really nice vibe about it. So maybe anyone think about Hobart, like what are some local sort of tips for Hobart? Is there any sort of places you recommend, or what are some things that people might not know too much about Hobart?
Well, it's anybody that's ever thought about going to Tassie, I'd 100% recommend it. It's a very picturesque, much like the rest of Australia, is a very picturesque sort of place, but Tassie's sort of like no other. So, yeah.
There you go. Now, thank you very much for joining us today. We'll give you a core voucher, which is sort of on my screen behind me there, which is worth $600, $700. Basically, what it gives you is 2 free nights at any All-Core hotel around the world, 50% of dining and stuff, and percentage of drinks and all that sort of thing. So we'll get it to you for being a great franchisee. And it's really great to hear you doing so well after 4 months only in the gym system. It's only going to get better for you, and glad to hear you enjoying it. Thank you for your time today.
Awesome. Thanks, Joel. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks very much. No worries. See ya.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you for listening to the episode of the Gyms podcast. If you want to learn more about the Gyms Group, head to gyms.net or call us on 131 546 Australia or 0800 454 654 New Zealand. And if you did like the episode as well, please make sure you leave a review or a comment or a thumbs up or a comment on the video as well. We appreciate your support. And until next episode, we hope you have a great week.